These are cool boxes.
What are those?
It's an LA2A copy,
Yeah.
for want of a better word.
Right. Has it got valves in it?
It has.
Right.
What it's also got is it's got empty valve seats for the parts of the circuit that they haven't used.
All right.
So, to keep the cost down.
Uh-huh.
Right? So, you can replace all the valves with your favourite new All-Star valves. And populate parts of the circuit that haven't been populated because it would bring the price up.
Oh.
And you can replace the T4 Opto thing as well for a real one should you want to. And it's £500.
Really?
Something like that.
Wow.
Because of those reasons, they've managed to keep the cost down.
And what's it called? GA
Golden Age Project.
Golden Age Project.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they also make a new microphone which is very good, and this is a 1073.
Uh-huh.
And I'm told that if you put this up against an old 1073, it will phase cancel.
Wow.
Obviously, it depends which 1073. But
close enough for
yeah,
rock
and
and roll.
the 3 EQ, and they sound great.
Yeah.
And that's £500.
Amazing.
I know.
I've never heard of them.
Really good. And that's an LA3 copy.
Okay.
Which isn't as much fun because you can't really mess with that.
No,
But,
no valves to change.
I love the idea of being able to and to repopulate and to have it sounding more like an LA2A. And they didn't feel like it was important enough for them to spend the money in it, but they've given you the opportunity to do that.
Fantastic.
Which I think is great.
Well, we all love an LA2A, don't we?
Yeah.
Very good.
Other toys. Overstairs, American company.
Oh, right.
Really good. Kind of real analog wallop.
Yeah. So are those just different vintages of
Yes.
model?
Yeah.
They decided to put the logo on the other end.
They're both great, actually. And then have you heard all about the war that's going on between the
two different Neves?
33609, there's about 4 of them now.
Is there?
3609s, yeah. And everyone's trying to get hold of this one because it's got different transformers in it to the later one. And now Neve are making a copy of the earlier one.
Right.
It's gone a bit mad, really.
Yeah, because there was it used to be called the 3369J because they were exporting them to Japan.
That's right, yeah. And that had different transformers in, and now they're going back to using the Marinair or St Ives.
Yeah, because I reviewed one of their recent 1073 versions.
Yeah,
there's this whole thing about the Marinair transformers.
Yeah, they're amazing. Apparently, the new 1073s, the hand wired
seemed pretty good. Yeah, did the job. I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I didn't really grow up with Neve, so
right.
I started Livingston Studios. It was all SSLs.
Yeah,
so I didn't hear a Neve for a while, but.
SSL, what does that stand for?
No idea. Never heard of it.
Talking of which, actually, can you turn that off? No. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm amazed by that. Mike
they're pretty clean, aren't they? They're sort of.
Well, it doesn't have to be. That's what I loved about it.
Does it drive a bit?
Yeah.
Does it? Okay.
Mike sent me this to get me out of trouble because this hadn't arrived. So I phoned him up in a panic saying, help. And he said, I'll get you one of these down. And I was supposed to give it back to him 2 weeks later. And then he came in and he said, have you done with the X desk? I said, no, I'm keeping it.
Right.
I think it sounds great. He said, that's the cheapest thing we do.
Yeah. It's not going to make you any money, is it?
But honestly...
It's not going to pay for his next car.
Honestly, because I'd just gone through that whole thing of trying to summing boxes and stuff like that. And I got really fed up with the whole thing. And then just bung that in.
Right.
And I can drive it with the output
really?
Pro Tools. Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And it's headroom for days. And the bottom end is much bigger than my G. And it's just a great little box. Proper. And it gets hot. I like that.
It's like a J series. Yeah. Not that one.
Nothing gets out.
Do you then use individual inserts for sticking other things in?
All of this is on hardware inserts now. So most of this outboard here goes directly to the Pro Tools.
Right.
And then there are 3 mix buses that come up there, and they have different outboard on each bus.
Right.
So one bus will be mainly music, which has the Cartex and Clariphonic. The drums mainly the reason for that is because the Cartex didn't really like very angular drums. They sag.
They do. They deliberately so, don't they?
Absolutely. No, and I love that.
Yeah.
But so I thought, well, actually, I'll just take the drums out of that, and then I thought, well, actually, I'll just take the vocals out of that as well. So, which is how it's kind of evolved.
Yeah.
And I've tried summing. We've tried summing amps as well to see if there's any benefit. And the problem I had was finding the right amplifiers to do the makeup gain, because I thought Neves would be brilliant, so I've got some Neves, but then realised that for some things it was brilliant, but other things it wasn't brilliant.
Right. Okay.
So I've given that up for now.
Okay.
I'll come back to it, but I've given it up for now.
So you're pretty much all in the box, but you come out on
three
stereo
buses. Yeah.
But also all the individual things in the box mix. Some of those will have hardware inserts on the individual.
Yeah, all of this is all of everything you see here is used on every mix pretty much.
So how do you handle recalls and things like that then? Do you?
We have settings for these which are set in stone.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah.
If I change anything, we take a photograph and I print it, and then I put it back. And we have a thing called T-Boy which enables us to do all that, which is brilliant.
Does that still work?
Yeah. But the thing is, we always have a starting point, and if I change anything, the great thing about Pro Tools now, I can commit that straight away. Yeah. We've got a photograph of it. I can then come back to it if I want to change it at any time. But at least we always start at the starting point. So most of the recall is photographs from my phone, and that'll be mainly the Maslek, the SSL Fusion, which is a great box.
Oh, right.
The Neves are generally, we take care of that with signal generators.
Yeah.
Because they do drift.
Right. So you take a few measurements.
Basically, that's it, yeah. And it's very fast now.
Yeah. You have a bit of a team.
Yeah, these two lads, three lads here, depending on who's on.
Right.
And then I have my analog corner there, which I love, which is kind of springs and boingy delays.
Good,
stuff. Again, which is brilliant now because I can just print them as soon as I find the sound.
Right.
I just commit it. One pass and it's done. The fact that now everything's on hardware insert is just a godsend. You know, it's just so quick.
Yeah.
To try things and to chain things up. And some gear there's some of my old favourite stuff, and some of it's new, which I'm trying out. Again, that black line thing that we had in the other room.
That right in front of your face.
Yeah, it's great for bass. It's just fantastic. And so I'll go through the black line into the little labs, and then into the high watt.
And do you have a overall mix bus insert?
Well,
what do you have on that generally?
Well, this is the master fader.
Yes.
This section here is the master.
Okay.
So I've got input, output. Input, output, and then 6 inserts, which I can have any of these things on. The great thing about this is insert 4 I can use as an additive insert, so I can parallel.
Right.
Because I love the sound of this thing on Crush, but obviously it's a bit too much. So 20% of it works fantastically, or 22% or 18%, depending on the song. And the Obsidian is a much gentler compressor, which is my main mix bus compressor, if you like, and then I add a bit of this. And I always, lately I've been using a Fusion all the time as well, which has a vintage drive circuit, which is phenomenal. This EQ is amazing, actually. It just sounds just a lovely sounding EQ. And the stereo image thing is fantastic. It's got a space control, which is a kind of it's a widener, but I don't think it is. But it's kind of in the mids, not the highs. The width also controls the highs. There's a transformer circuit there, which is great. And if you were to have this as your only master fader, if you like, there's an insert button as well, which you can put pre or post EQ. It's a lovely box.
That's interesting.
The Maslek has elliptical filters, which are fantastic.
So you got a width on that.
And the incredible thing about that is you can wind it in full in mono and turn it on and off, and you cannot hear any difference. So I don't know how it does that. It just doesn't affect the mono signal at all.
Marvellous. You wouldn't ever use plugins as your mix bus insert, then?
I can't really.
No.
So,
There's one or the other, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I can't really.
No, unless you go back in and back out again, I suppose.
Yes, I mean sometimes I have to replicate what I've inherited on the session.
Yeah.
It's actually not that hard,
Sure.
to be honest.
Yeah.
It was daunting to start with and freaked me out a bit, but
Do you ever use any tape simulation or?
yeah, a lot.
What do you use for that? Is that something you use on individual tracks rather than the mix?
Yes, there's a few. I love the Kramer tape. I think that's fantastic. There's a soft tube one, I can't remember what it's called now, which is amazing. There are so many.
Bought a Anamod ATS1, which is my only analog mix bus insert, so I do everything else in plugins.
Is it good?
But I come out through the ATS1.
Yeah,
because it's so good.
Is
it? Yeah, it's streets ahead of any of the plugins I've heard, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll have to have a go.
Get one of those, stick it in your
have to have a
mix
go at
bus.
that. Yeah. I've got a 1/4 inch coming because I can't remember what it sounds like.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing with that when I mean, it's probably 8 years ago when I got sent one to review.
Yeah.
And I was suddenly back at Livingston in being 20 years old and going, oh wow, sounds like tape, sounds proper. So it sounds really. It's very subtle, like tape was.
Yeah.
But it really does it. Yeah, and you can, if you get a fully loaded one, because you get different cards of different machines, so you get your 456 and your GP9 and your Scotch 111, and then you got
Andrex
tape machine. Yeah.
4-inch Andrex.
4-inch Andrex. Yeah.
What I wanted to do is I've got a 1/4 inch coming, and I'm just going to put it on an insert. And just
see how you go
and listen, because I can't.
But if you
remember,
like that,
I can't remember what it sounds like.
Get an Anamod, and then you won't have to worry.
Yeah, that X-Rac's fantastic. I use that on hardware inserts, but it means for a vocal EQ or a drum bus, whatever, I can mess with it and then commit it straight away, and it's done.
Right.
And sometimes it just feels better and sounds better to me. And also those SSL compressors are great for acoustic guitars. I found I can't find anything that sounds better.
Do you freeze tracks when you come to the end of it?
I don't know what that means.
No.
I've often seen the option, but I've no idea what it means.
Well, it's like commit. But it's the same thing, but it doesn't put it on another track. It just keeps it on the same track and creates a sort of hidden rendered file in a folder.
Oh, I like that. I'll try that. I'll try that. Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I'll try that.
It makes.
I did it by mistake once and couldn't work out what I'd done.
Well, they suddenly come up with about 3 different ways of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what bounce does. I tried using that yesterday, and it didn't do anything. It gave me a blank bounce. I was like, oh.
That's
I just bounced the track. So I gave up. I don't know. I still don't know what bounce does, but freeze I've mastered.
Okay, and that's better than commit then.
Well, certainly for like MIDI instruments, if you've got something like that going on, because then you can unfreeze it and carry on and change something if you want.
Right,
so,
if
you think you're then going to come back to it and change something later, you can unfreeze it,
right,
and then go, I'll just move that a bit, and then freeze it again, and it still allows you to turn the level up and down and stuff like that.
Okay.
It just stops it using all the resources of your plugins.
Right.
So
that's an idea. Once the mix is approved, or it gets to a point where it's pretty much approved, I will then commit the reverbs, especially if I'm using things like the Orban and the delays.
Sure.
The high.
Is that the Spring, the Orban? Yeah, I've got one of those. Yeah, they're great.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The trick I found with that is to bring it back through a balancing box.
Right, because it's a bit noisy.
It's still noisy, but it's loud noisy, which is you can deal with.
Right. Okay. I'll have to get.
But we use a Camford balancing box, and as soon as I started using that, it sounds amazing.
Oh right. So what does that do then? The balancing box.
Instead of, I don't know. It just
because mine's got. Because it's got tags on the back, and somebody's wired up. The tech at Air Studios wired up XLRs for me back in about 1997.
For some reason, ours has got XLR inputs and RCA outputs, and I don't know why.
Ah, right. No, I think mine's balanced both in and out. So
but we did that, and with my other little Pioneer Spring, we did as well through the balancing box.
Right. Okay.
Through the other Camford that's under there.
Yeah. Because they're quite expensive, those Camford things, aren't they? They're sort of. Just to sort of go from unbalanced to balance is like 150 quid or something.
Yeah, no, I shouldn't have mentioned that because you can find them on eBay for peanuts. Can you just not? For some reason, it makes them.
Well, that's interesting. Good great. Top tip there then. Yeah. Do you use any Sonox plugins?
Yeah, I love them.
Do you? Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Which ones you got there?
I'll have to look and see what they're called on there.
So there's a dynamic EQ that.
Yeah, I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah.
The one I like is is it a suppressor?
Yeah, that's like the DSO thing.
Oh my god! But not just, I mean, for acoustic guitars, for low end of vocals, for harshness of vocals, or any of those. It's just amazing. And you know, if you set it correctly, you'll never know it's there. It's fantastic. I love them.
And the EQ, presumably
Yeah, not so much.
Right.
Not not so much EQ. Use Fab Filter.
Yeah.
Schweppes 1073. What's the UAD? What's the black one I use a lot? The Helios.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. The new version, because there was a.
I still use the old one.
Do you? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
because I'll lose all my settings.
Yeah.
So you know. Welcome to Decoy. So this was an empty barn when we
Was it?
we started. Yeah, it was
Everyone's got a barn in Suffolk, haven't they?
completely. Yeah, I wish. So yeah, it was a completely empty barn, and we moved into that room next door, where we just my mix room.
Yes.
Which was,
And how long ago was that you moved?
White Mark room, which is about 2011.
Yeah.
And we built that room in literally a weekend.
Really?
It was all designed beforehand.
Yes.
David Bell from White Mark lives in is local, and I met him at school, and
right.
we got talking, and so he came and took measurements, and literally built everything off site, and then brought it all in, and then we put the console in first, and then moved the console around to see whether it would sound better with the monitors on there.
Yes.
And it was all meant to be temporary, and then we were going to move everything in here, but then I decided to leave the mix room because I loved it so much, and so we then built a tracking room in here,
which we're going to go and see now.
Yeah.
Rooms in all directions.
This is our newest acquisition. With this number, you can see that number there.
14,696,787 copies.
I struggled.
They don't round it up or anything.
No, I struggled. I think that was a bit of a joke.
Wow, this is lovely, isn't it?
Our live room, yeah.
Isn't this fantastic?
It's a lovely room.
Yeah.
And this is floated.
Right.
So it's a room within a room.
Wow.
Sitting on a
Proper.
steel tray.
Yeah. And was this White Mark help design this?
Yeah. As well,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen the pictures of that.
Yeah.
But it's quite something to behold in the flesh, isn't it?
And it works. It works amazingly well. So the outside is absorbent.
Right.
So it's just a usual
rock. I see.
And that in the middle.
Fantastic. It just looks brilliant.
And the idea was to do as little as possible in here acoustically wise to see how it sounded and then adjust.
Yeah.
So basically it's only the corners really that have acoustic treatment.
Yeah.
And the back wall. And then these diffusers that were inspired by Russian diffusers.
Okay.
Designed in the 60s that David Bell knows all about because he's been doing a lot of work in Russia.
Okay.
And so the idea was just to use those to start with and then see what we needed. And we found that we don't need anything. This comes, we can move this down over the drum kit if we need to, and actually it works remarkably well.
Yeah.
And we can deaden round it with go both, and so if we need to.
That's superb.
So that
And what a lovely view out the window.
It is, yeah.
You see must see a bit of water out there.
So most of the time these doors are open.
Yeah,
no noise,
from the church and everything.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yeah.
And a sideways view from the control room.
Yeah. Which reminds me of Trident, where I first started. Had same thing.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. A lot of those era studios, because Wessex was like that as well.
That's right. Yeah.
When you're sort of looking sideways.
Yeah.
I suppose it's quite good, really. You're not sort of just staring at people.
Exactly.
In fact, when you've got a desk, you can't see over it anyway, can you? Usually. Yeah. Very good. Should we go in the control room then?
Yeah. So this is a control room which is pretty much a replica of my mix room acoustically. We tried putting these pucks
Yeah.
On the other side, on top of so that the speakers rested on the park sensors didn't work at all. And that way it works fine. It disconnects.
How funny.
Gives us a little bit of height and just sounds great. Black Line 1176.
Right, okay.
Do you know about Black Line?
Didn't they modify
stuff? Yeah,
like that's 002s and things back in the day.
And
I know old Steve Winwood had a.
Yeah,
they were into all that.
And Mutt Lang had everything modified by then, and all his 888s and 192s and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I've never seen that though.
Yeah, it's awesome. And they basically decided to come out with an 1176 and tried to find all the parts that we used originally, and then realised that, having hunted around for the right transformer, that the people who make the transformer and always have done, and is still being made, was in their street. So
how funny.
So and it's got a wet dry control, which I thought, would I ever use that on an 1176? I don't know if I would, but I do.
Right.
And if for nothing else, just to AB.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah, it's quite nice having a bypass.
It is,
because it's always a nuisance. Those, isn't it?
And I do end up using it actually. I just didn't think I would.
Yeah.
I've got one next door which I use on my bass chain. The trouble I found with these, a lot of 1176 kind of copies. I hate to call them that, but to me they don't handle bass end.
Okay.
I've just found with all sorts of them, which I'm not going to name now, they sound great on vocals, but as soon as you put a bass on it, they just fall apart, and that one doesn't. Maybe it's to do with the original transformer. Maybe there was something that worked with the circuit and that transformer. I don't know, but it's a really good bit of kit, actually. I have to say. And apart from that, I think it's all fairly standard.
Yeah, well, it's lots of our old favourites, isn't it?
Yeah.
MXR flanger doubler.
Yeah, they're good. Dynamites, just a door for rooms and stuff.
And I was talking about the F760 XRS. I bought the one that was in Odyssey Studios of Wayne Bickerton.
Did you?
Stage. I've sold it now, but I had one myself. They were good for a bit of Led Zeppelin crunchy drums.
Yeah, we used to use them a lot for parallel drum bus for ages. Because it's actually really versatile. People tend to think that they're just slammers, but they're not actually. 162, very underrated, I think. Game Brains.
Yeah.
Amazing for guitars.
Yeah. That's what John Leckie was talking about, wasn't he? He said that Abbey Road there only had Game Brains and Keepexes, and that was kind of their outboard, that and a Fairchild.
Yeah, and an In My Desk.
Yeah, with a limiter on every channel. Jolly good.
And guitar amps.
Yeah.
Which I use.
Yeah, these Audio Kitchen are popular these days, aren't they?
They are good.
Right? Is it Steve, the chap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to like them.
Yeah, he's a really good amps.
He had a go at making mics, didn't he, at one point?
There was one that was coming out. He also made an LA2A copy, which we got, which was really good. And the Mutator was there as well.
Yeah.
Mutronics.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was Mark Lusardi, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah. I had a Mutator.
Did you? Yeah.
I never used it though, so I sold it. So it never got. I was too lazy to use it.
Mark Angelo.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, because his sister was Linda Lusardi, page 3 model.
Ah, I assisted on a session on her first single. I did.
Excellent.
In Trident.
I assisted on a session with Samantha Fox.
Did you?
So
you trumped me then. Uh-oh. There's a story coming from Mike any second now. There is a story.
Mike's got some story. There's another room there. Should we go and have a look at that one?
Yeah. That's our kind of vocal group. We used to rent studios and record in big houses. And we worked in the house that OK Computer was recorded in.
Oh, right.
For quite a while. Jane Seymour's house in Bath.
Yeah.
And everybody loved being in the library. So we set up the control room in the library, and we couldn't work out why it sounded great. And then it dawned on us, apart from the really massive windows and thick curtains, behind us was this huge bookshelf.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of my idea to kind of see if it would work, and it does work. Oh, I was going to talk to you about the Cat 5 cables at some point.
Well, we'll come on to that, no doubt. Or you can show me some now. Good Lord.
Those are Pro Tools runs. So I had to expand the Pro Tools runs, and I had all these already.
Yes.
Which, funnily enough, this cable is Kelsey cable.
Yeah.
Which Michael Whiteside originally made. He designed them.
Yeah.
Funny, all those years ago.
Right, I see.
But then we decided it was going to cost me like, I think about 4,000 something quid to do the runs in normal cable.
Yeah.
And Michael said, why don't you try Cat 5? And we tried it in various other things. We use it for microphone cables and microphone tie lines and guitar tie lines. So we tried it for our Pro Tools returns, and they sound brilliant.
How peculiar.
and cost nothing.
Well, that's right, because it's very cheap, isn't it, Cat 5?
Just simply because of the quantity it's made in.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Because it's very good cable.
Right. But so how does that work in terms of sort of earthing and grounding and...
You need to talk to Michael about that.
Let's talk to Michael about that.
Because I have no idea.
No, I mean...
But we tried it, and we could A/B, because we had some side by side. We had some which are, Kelsey normal stuff, and some which is Cat 5. But Michael swears by it. So we use that for these. We also use that here for our guitar tie lines. Because again, Michael came along with 10 different bits of cable all wrapped in orange for us to test which we prefer to do guitar tie lines.
Yeah.
And some were kind of high-end cables that he bought, and some were his. And unbeknownst to me, one was a Cat 5 cable. And they're all 10 metres long, and we literally plugged one end into a guitar, the other end into an amp, and listened.
Right.
First of all, I was knocked out at the difference between guitar cables, especially on relatively short runs, which 10 metres not that long.
Sure.
And B, some of the cables that are called a bass cable and some are called guitar cables, and they actually sound different. And I don't know how. This is monster cable.
Yeah.
No idea why.
Yeah, I've got monster cables.
Yeah, they sound different.
Yeah.
So anyway, we tried the Cat 5, which I didn't know was a Cat 5, and it just sounded ridiculous. There was far too much top end and far too much bottom end. It was just huge. It almost sounded like a DI.
Right.
But amped. I can't explain it. The bandwidth was enormous. So we thought, well, we can't use that because it just sounds stupid. But then if we just use it as a tie line and use a normal guitar cable at each end, it then sounds great.
It sounds like a guitar again.
It sounds like a guitar again, and also the bit in the middle disappears. I mean, it's like it's not there.
I see.
It's amazing. Yeah. To cover myself, I put normal guitar cable, Van Dam coax as well, which used to be my favourite.
Yeah.
And then so anyone can A/B and try the two
funny.
and see which one they prefer, and invariably they'll pick the Cat 5.
That's extraordinary.
Again, in here we have these room mics.
Oh yeah.
We've got 3. We've got a ball and biscuit up there, and 2 Sontronics there, and they're all on Cat 5.
Right.
And everybody comments on the sound of those mics, and they're not high-end microphones. They're affordable, good quality microphones, but they sound fantastic. And they're long runs, and not only that, they're split from my room as well in the mix room, so I can reamp things in here.
Oh, do you do that then? If there's nobody actually in this room, I suppose
all the time. Well, the lads do it for me as well before we start. They'll always reamp a snare, a bass, a percussion,
right?
Whatever, just to get some ambience. Without
you can't beat a bit of real.
Yeah, exactly.
Real stuff. Yeah.
So that's our Cat 5 story, which is
that's very interesting. I'd be interested to know.
It works.
Is it measurable? This difference between them?
Do you know what? You should just have a listen. You should just make a guitar cable and a mic cable and have a listen, because it is ridiculous.
I just wonder what the scientific basis is.
Mike will tell you all about that.
Absolutely.
The problem is it isn't great to have as a microphone cable, because obviously it's not.
It's a bit fragile.
It's fragile, and you can hear it because if it moves.
It's microphonic.
Yes.
Right.
Whereas as installation cable, you can't.
Sure, I see.
It doesn't. It's fine.
I see. Yeah.
But if you should just listen to it, wire it up with 2 XLRs,
fascinating,
and have a listen to your favourite mic with it, because it is ridiculous. And Mike will tell you which type of Cat 5 to use. So I can't remember. Cat 5.
Well, that's right. There's different ones, aren't there?
It's not solid.
Cat 5e and
Cat
Cat 6.
I think it's E.